Yo guys, Singapore features a total of 23 corners, with most of those being relatively slow 90-degree turns. It's a track that will test your car's aerodynamics and how strong its chassis is. It will also test your patience and precision. Learning when and how hard you can accelerate around Singapore is one of the real battles. In F122, with its cars that struggle to find traction, Singapore is as tricky to master as ever. Starting with the aero setup, Singapore requires the most amount of downforce that we can generate. I've set the front wing angle to 48 and the rear wing at 50. This approach will ensure that we have almost the maximum amount of downforce available. The front wing at just under maximum will help a touch on the straights. With the sheer number of slow speed corners around Singapore, we really need to focus on traction under acceleration. If you don't have that, it will be very hard to complete a full race distance, especially as your tyres wear. I've tried to aid traction by setting the on-throttle diff at 50, and for the off-throttle diff I've gone with just 52. The suspension geometry follows our normal approach for F122 setups. The front camber is set all the way right at -2.5, with the rear camber left at -1.5. I've set the front toe at 0.06 and the rear toe at 0.2. This approach to our toe setup will help us find a little extra straight line speed. I've softened the suspension up to help produce a more compliant car and avoid any unpredictability. Go with a front suspension and anti-roll bar of 5 and a rear suspension and anti-roll bar of just 1. And for the ride height, I've raised the car up a little as the curves around Singapore can be violent in places and you will be driving over them a lot. Go with 4 on your front ride height and 5 on your rear. I've then set the brakes to 100% brake pressure and the brake bias to 50%. And finally, for the tyre pressures, I've increased the front pressures all the way up to 24.3 on both sides. This will aid with a little extra responsiveness. Then I've decreased the rear pressures slightly to 21.5. This is designed to both manage rear tyre wear throughout a race and aid traction at slow speed. If your tyre setups values do differ to these, just set the closest values you can to my setup, as they seem to be different across different console platforms. Overall, Singapore is one of the harder tracks in F122. The sheer number of corners and how quickly they come at you means you'll rarely find time to rest or make setup and strategy changes on the fly. When you do master it though, it becomes a pretty fun track and it can produce some nice racing, with a couple of overtaking spots into turn 1 and 7. Let me know if you enjoy this setup in the comments below and hit that like button. If you want more daily F122 content, subscribe and hit that alert bell to be notified when new videos drop. But for now guys, I'll see you on track.